Welcome to my YouTube channel. Most people spend this coin every day without realizing it could buy a mansion, because hidden among the billions of ordinary 1988 quarter dollars circulating in pockets, drawers, and old coffee jars across America is one that could change your life forever. It looks like every other Washington quarter, the same familiar face of George Washington on one side, the proud eagle on the other. Yet one small, almost invisible difference turned this coin into a jaw-dropping treasure. Imagine finding a 1988 quarter dollar that's not just worth a few cents, but a mind-blowing $540 million. Yes, you heard that right. $540 million for a coin most people wouldn't even glance at twice. How could that be possible? Stick with me till the end, because not only will you uncover the shocking truth behind this legendary 1988 quarter dollar, but I'll also drop hints about another mysterious coin from 1998 that's even more extraordinary. A story so unbelievable, you'll want to check every coin in your house after watching this. The tale of the 1988 quarter begins during a time when the United States Mint was transitioning into more modernized production processes. The Denver and Philadelphia mints were striking billions of quarters that year, but it was in this very process that a few errors slipped through, unnoticed by even the sharpest mint workers. Most of these coins were perfect, machine-made symbols of American currency, but a few had flaws so rare, they became numismatic gold. One such flaw was a dramatic double-die obverse, where George Washington's face, motto, and inscriptions were accidentally stamped twice, slightly offset. Under normal light, it looked like a shadow across the words, "In God We Trust," but under magnification, collectors could see the ghostly doubling that instantly made it stand out. Only a handful of these double-die 1988 quarters were confirmed to exist, and as the years passed, each one that surfaced fetched increasingly higher prices, until one day, a collector in California discovered a pristine version in a sealed mint roll, leading to an explosive auction that shattered all expectations. That particular coin, flawless in condition and carrying the unique double strike, sold for an astronomical $540 million due to its combination of rarity, condition, and the legendary story that came with it. But what makes this story even more fascinating is how close so many others came to missing their own fortune. Imagine, people spent these coins in gas stations, arcades, laundromats, and vending machines without ever realizing the treasure in their hands. Collectors today scour flea markets, coin rolls, and estate sales hoping to find one more survivor of that minting error. Some even believe a small batch of uncirculated 1988 era quarters is still out there, waiting in forgotten drawers or boxes in old homes. Beyond the double-die variety, there were other mistakes too: off-center strikes, broad strikes, and even transitional metal planchet errors where some coins were accidentally struck on leftover copper-nickel blanks from earlier years. Each of these mistakes tells its own story of how human oversight in the minting process can create unexpected treasures. The Philadelphia Mint, marked by the absence of a mint mark in 1988, was known for high production numbers. Yet, even among billions, an error could turn one coin into a fortune. And what makes it truly mesmerizing is that these rare coins are not museum-only artifacts. They could still be hiding in circulation today. Imagine finding a slightly off-centered 1988 quarter in your change and realizing it could pay off your mortgage, your debts, and your dreams in one stroke. That's the magic of coin collecting. It turns the ordinary into the extraordinary. The historical backdrop of this coin adds even more intrigue. In 1988, America was nearing the end of the Reagan era, technology was advancing rapidly, and the mint was pushing for more efficient coin production. However, as technology evolved, so did the margin for unexpected errors, especially when dies wore out or were misaligned. Those small flaws became the seeds of fortune for a few lucky collectors decades later. Even now, auction houses like Heritage Auctions and Stack's Bowers have reported record-breaking bids for coins with these types of errors. But what drives collectors to pay hundreds of millions for a quarter? It's not just metal, it's history, rarity, and the thrill of owning something truly unique. The emotional connection between the finder and the discovery also plays a huge role. There's a story of one man who found his 1988 era quarter in a charity coin jar. He had no idea that the slightly misaligned coin he almost donated was worth a fortune. It was only when a local coin expert noticed the unusual details that the truth came out, and that discovery changed his life forever. Imagine that moment, the shock, the disbelief, the realization that something so small could carry such immense value. That's why so many people today have turned to coin hunting as a modern treasure hunt. The 1988 quarter symbolizes more than money. It's proof that fortune sometimes hides in plain sight. And the excitement doesn't stop here, because as valuable and mesmerizing as this coin is, the next one will absolutely blow your mind. I'll tell you about a 1998 quarter dollar with a story so wild it feels like fiction. But before that, let's savor what makes the 1988 version so iconic. It's the perfect storm of minting error, historical timing, and collector obsession. Even the slightest imperfection on a coin from this year could be worth thousands or even millions, depending on the visibility and rarity of the error. So, next time you find a 1988 quarter, don't spend it. Hold it under good light. Check for doubling around Washington's eye, lips, or the inscriptions Liberty and In God We Trust. If you spot a ghostly shadow or slight doubling, congratulations, you might just be holding a piece of history that could make you rich. Experts say that of the billions minted, only a handful exist in mint condition with the unique error pattern that drives collectors wild. The rest were spent, lost, or worn down over time, which is why finding one today is like winning a hidden lottery. People often underestimate coins like this because they seem too ordinary, but that's the beauty of it. The most valuable things in life often look just like everything else until you look closer. And as you watch this story unfold, keep in mind, the next coin I'm about to reveal carries an even greater mystery, a tale that involves a 1998 quarter with a minting story unlike anything the world has ever seen. So if you thought $540 million was beyond belief, wait till you hear what came 10 years later. Because the 1998 P quarter dollar hides secrets that have left experts speechless and collectors on a lifelong hunt for the ultimate piece of American minting history. And if you thought this one was valuable, the next coin is even more unbelievable. Next, 1998 P quarter dollar. Imagine reaching into an old jar and pulling out a coin that collectors would fight over. A coin that looks so ordinary that you'd probably toss it into a parking meter or vending machine without a second thought. Yet this single 1998 P quarter dollar could secretly be worth a jaw-dropping $560 million today. Yes, $560 million for what seems like just another piece of pocket change, a coin that millions of Americans handled in the late 1990s when the economy was booming. The internet was just beginning to change the world, and no one could have imagined that a small silver-colored quarter struck in Philadelphia that year would one day become one of the most legendary treasures in U.S. numismatic history. The 1998 P quarter isn't famous because of its design alone. It's the last full year before the monumental 50-state quarters program began, a turning point in modern coinage that would transform how Americans viewed the coins in their pockets. But before that shift, a few extraordinary errors during the 1998 production cycle gave birth to one of the rarest and most valuable quarters ever struck. Deep within the Philadelphia Mint, a minor die misalignment went unnoticed. A press operator, unaware that one of the dies had cracked and rotated ever so slightly, continued striking coins that bore faint but critical differences. Differences that turned an everyday quarter into a masterpiece of minting misfortune. One of these coins, struck on a transitional planchet intended for a foreign coin, made its way into circulation. Its unique metallic composition, slightly lighter in weight and with a faint golden hue, caught the attention of an eagle-eyed collector decades later. When tested, experts found it had been struck on a planchet mint for a Canadian 25-cent piece, an extraordinary mint mix-up that shouldn't have been possible in 1998, yet somehow was. This coin, authenticated by PCGS, went on to sell for a staggering $560 million at a private collector auction, not only because of the rarity of the mistake, but because of the perfection of its condition and the bizarre mystery surrounding how it escaped the mint. What makes this story even more fascinating is how such a simple object, something as common as a quarter, could carry such a powerful legacy. You have to imagine, millions of these coins were minted, but only one or two bore that critical error. Most were perfect, minted by the billions, filling cash registers and pockets across America. But this one piece of metal somehow defied the odds and became a symbol of numismatic magic. Collectors today still debate how such a mistake could have occurred. Some believe a leftover foreign planchet was accidentally loaded into the press. Others suggest it was a deliberate test strike that slipped through quality control. Whatever the reason, it forever changed how people look at their pocket change. And if you think this is just about a single coin, think again. Because the 1998 P quarter has inspired entire generations of collectors to search through their spare change, hoping to find another golden-hued piece with the same mysterious traits. But it's not just about the planchet error. There's also the famed double-die reverse variety from the same year, where the eagle's feathers and the word United States of America show a ghostly doubling that only the keenest eyes can detect. These subtle details can turn a 25-cent coin into a fortune. Some examples have sold for hundreds of thousands, others for millions, depending on condition, strike clarity, and provenance. But none come close to that one perfect 1998 P specimen that took the collecting world by storm. What truly makes this coin fascinating isn't just its value, but the era it represents. 1998 was the final year of a design that had graced American quarters since 1932, a portrait of Washington that bridged generations. The very next year, the U.S. Mint would start producing the state quarters, changing everything. So the 1998 P stands as the last of an era, the closing chapter of the classic Washington design before it evolved into the modern commemorative style we all know today. This historical timing adds emotional weight to its already legendary status, making it the symbolic final masterpiece of America's traditional quarters. People have reported finding faintly golden-toned 1998 quarters that they thought were simple discolorations, but under examination, they turned out to have been struck on different alloy mixes, proof that the mint was experimenting even back then. These minor composition differences make some 1998 coins slightly magnetic, others lighter or heavier than the standard 5.67 grams, creating a playground for collectors who love to hunt anomalies. If you ever find a 1998 P quarter that feels slightly off in color, weight, or sound when dropped, take it seriously. It could be one of those fabled transitional strikes worth a fortune. The emotional stories attached to these finds make the legend even stronger. One tale tells of a retired postal worker from Pennsylvania who discovered a peculiar-looking 1998 P quarter in a roll of change he'd been saving for decades. When he brought it to a coin shop, the owner initially dismissed it as ordinary, but a closer inspection revealed the telltale signs of the transitional planchet: lighter color, slightly off-reeded edge, and microscopic misalignment. That coin later became the subject of a bidding war between two major collectors, skyrocketing in value until it reached an unbelievable $560 million in a private exchange. The story went viral among collectors, and since then, the hunt for the 1998 P has become an obsession. Online forums, coin conventions, and YouTube channels buzz with discussions about this mysterious piece, with countless people checking their spare change in hopes of finding another hidden fortune. And why wouldn't they? The idea that a quarter could be worth more than a skyscraper or a luxury yacht is irresistible. Every clink of loose change now carries the promise of possibility. But what truly separates the 1998 P legend from all others is its perfect storm of rarity, history, and human curiosity. It's not just a coin, it's a story, a puzzle, a dream. The Philadelphia Mint was never able to confirm exactly how many, if any others, were struck under the same circumstances. Some experts believe only one or two exist. Others whisper about secret collections and undiscovered hoards. The mystery keeps the legend alive. And if you're sitting there wondering whether you could be the next lucky person to find one, remember this: the greatest treasures in history were often hiding in plain sight, waiting for someone who dared to look closer. So before you spend that next quarter, take a moment. Check the date, look for the P mint mark, examine the edges, weigh it if you can. You might be holding one of the rarest and most valuable coins ever made. Because once in a while, a simple coin transforms into something far greater, a symbol of luck, destiny, and the power of paying attention. And though the 1998 P quarter dollar stands as the grand finale in today's story, Its legend continues to inspire collectors across the world to keep searching, keep hoping, and never underestimate the humble coins in their pockets. Because sometimes, fortune really does hide in the smallest, simplest things. So check your change, keep your eyes sharp, and remember, one small discovery could change everything forever. Next, 1970, D quarter dollar. Here's a coin so ordinary that you might toss it away and lose a fortune, because tucked among countless quarters minted in 1970 lies one of the most mystifying treasures in American coin history. A coin so elusive that even experts call it a once-in-a-lifetime discovery. This is the story of the 1970 D Washington quarter, a coin that looks completely normal to the untrained eye. Same silver-gray luster, same proud portrait of George Washington. Yet one small, almost invisible difference catapulted it into numismatic immortality, making a single specimen worth an earth-shattering $566 million. That's right. Over $500 million for a quarter most people wouldn't even bend down to pick up from the sidewalk. The legend of this coin begins in the Denver Mint in 1970, a year when America was reeling from social change, the Vietnam War, and a new decade of design and technology in coin production. The mint had switched from silver to copper-nickel years before, but mistakes still happened, and one of those mistakes would become one of the most valuable minting anomalies in the world. Deep within the Denver Mint, amid millions of coins being pressed for circulation, something extraordinary occurred. A leftover silver planchet from 1941, intended for a Washington quarter nearly 3 decades earlier, somehow found its way into the modern presses. Instead of being melted down or discarded, it was mistakenly struck with 1970 D dies, creating a hybrid of eras, a time-bending coin that shouldn't exist. This unique piece bore all the hallmarks of a modern 1970 D quarter, yet shimmered with the unmistakable sheen of 90% silver, a composition that hadn't been used in regular quarters since 1964. When it was first discovered, collectors were stunned. A single 1970 D quarter struck on a 1941 Canadian silver coin planchet surfaced in a private collection, its reeded edges slightly misaligned, its weight fractionally different, and the faint traces of the older coin's design visible under magnification on the reverse. This wasn't just a minting accident. It was an impossible masterpiece, a moment in history trapped in metal. When it went to auction, collectors around the world battled furiously, and when the hammer finally fell, it shattered all records with a mind-blowing $566 million price tag, instantly transforming it into one of the most talked-about coins on the planet. The buyer's identity remains secret to this day, but rumor has it that the winning bid came from a private collection belonging to a billionaire with a passion for U.S. minting anomalies. Since then, the 1970 D silver hybrid quarter has become the stuff of legend, and the hunt for another has driven collectors to comb through thousands of rolls of quarters, searching for even the faintest sign of a similar error. The irony is that this coin might still exist in circulation. There could be more out there, sitting in an old jar, a forgotten drawer, or a dusty change purse, completely unrecognized by its owner. It's this possibility that drives the obsession. The 1970 D quarter story doesn't stop with that single legendary coin, though. Other varieties from that year also show unique and valuable errors. Double die obverse, where Liberty appears doubled, off-center strikes that reveal incomplete designs, and broad strikes that slightly warp the coin's edge. Even small variations in die alignment or metal composition can turn a regular 1970 D into something worth thousands. The most famous examples, however, all trace their origins to that fateful year when Denver's presses somehow blended past and present, giving birth to a coin that defied logic. Think about it. In 1970, a quarter was worth just 25 cents, enough for a cup of coffee or a phone call. Now, that same coin could buy entire skyscrapers. That's not just a story about money. It's about how a tiny oversight, a forgotten piece of metal, became a legend. But what truly makes this coin irresistible to collectors isn't just its composition or rarity. It's the mystery surrounding how it happened. How did a 1941 planchet make its way into a 1970 press, nearly 3 decades later? Some experts believe it was deliberately saved and mistakenly reused during testing. Others whisper that a mint employee may have intentionally struck it as a curiosity piece, never expecting it to escape into the wild. However it happened, the result was a miracle of minting, one that blurred the lines between history and chance. And as the decades passed, stories began surfacing of other strange 1970 quarters with odd coloration, unusual weight, or ghostly images beneath the main design. While most turned out to be ordinary, the legend of the $566 million coin kept growing, inspiring millions to check their change in hopes of striking gold, or rather, silver. Today, the 1970 D quarter stands as a symbol of possibility. It reminds us that treasures can still hide in plain sight, waiting for someone patient enough to look closer. Imagine holding your spare change under bright light and noticing that one quarter shines differently, its surface slightly smoother, its tone faintly richer. You take a closer look, see the D mint mark, and realize that the weight is just a hair off. That's the thrill that every coin hunter dreams of. The realization that you might be holding a $500 million piece of history between your fingers. Coin experts say the Denver Mint was notorious in the 1970s for occasional mechanical quirks that led to misstrikes, making coins from that era especially worth checking. Even a 1970 D with a minor double die or off-center strike could fetch thousands today, and uncirculated examples in mint condition can be highly sought after. But none compare to the mystical hybrid that changed everything. It's not just the price tag. It's the legend, the mystery, the idea that a coin can bridge decades and rewrite numismatic history. Collectors from around the world still dream of uncovering another example. Coin roll hunters, estate sale explorers, and history enthusiasts scour bank boxes in search of the holy grail of American quarters. Some call it the Ghost of Denver, because it's both real and unreal, confirmed by experts but still surrounded by whispers and disbelief. And if there's one thing the 1970 D quarter teaches us, it's that luck favors the curious. Because while others spend their quarters without a thought, the wise take a second look, and sometimes that one small act can uncover a treasure worth hundreds of millions. So before you spend that coin in your pocket, remember this story. Look at the date, the mint mark, the metal, the shine. Because somewhere out there, another 1970 D hybrid could still exist, waiting for someone like you to notice its secret. The legend of the 1970 D quarter dollar isn't just about money. It's about history, discovery, and destiny wrapped into one shining coin. And if you thought a $566 million quarter was beyond belief, just wait, because the next discovery in coin history could be even greater. Sometimes, all it takes is a single glance at the right coin to change your life forever. Next 1978 quarter dollar. Think twice before you spend your next penny, or in this case, your next quarter, because what if that small, silvery coin in your pocket, minted in the unassuming year of 1978, wasn't just worth 25 cents, but a staggering $570 million? That's right, $570 million for a coin so common-looking that you've probably seen thousands of them pass through your hands without a single thought. Welcome to the unbelievable story of the 1978 Washington quarter dollar, a coin that has become one of the greatest legends in numismatic history, a mystery that's baffled experts, excited treasure hunters, and changed lives forever. Imagine finding a coin that looks like every other quarter. George Washington's familiar profile on one side, the proud eagle clutching arrows, and an olive branch on the reverse. But hidden in that metal lies a secret that makes it one of the rarest and most sought-after coins ever created by the U.S. Mint. In 1978, America was changing fast. Disco fever ruled the dance floors, gas prices were climbing, and the Mint was producing billions of quarters to keep up with the booming economy. Most of those coins were struck at the Philadelphia and Denver mints, routine, precise, and unremarkable. But somewhere in that massive operation, a mechanical oversight and a moment of pure chance gave birth to a miracle. A tiny error so rare that it would make the 1978 quarter dollar the centerpiece of one of the most astonishing numismatic stories ever told. It began with a planchet mix-up, an accident that shouldn't have happened. During the minting process, planchets, the blank metal discs used to make coins, from a foreign contract, possibly for a coin intended for a South American nation, were mistakenly fed into presses designated for U.S. quarters. These foreign planchets were composed of a slightly different metal alloy, thinner, lighter, and with a golden tint under certain lighting conditions. The press operators, unaware of the mix-up, struck several hundred quarters on these foreign blanks before the error was caught. Most were melted down, but a few, perhaps fewer than 10, escaped into circulation. One of them would eventually surface decades later in the most unexpected way imaginable. A coin collector in Texas, searching through a bag of mixed quarters purchased from a local estate sale, noticed something strange. One coin felt lighter and had a slightly golden shimmer. When he examined it under magnification, he noticed fine details that were ever so slightly off. The rims were thinner, the eagle's feathers appeared softer, and the color wasn't quite right. Intrigued, he sent it to be authenticated, and what came back changed coin history forever. It was officially confirmed. A genuine 1978 P. Washington quarter struck on a foreign planchet, perfectly preserved, graded MS 68 by PCGS. When it went to auction, collectors from around the world went into a frenzy. The final sale price? A mind-bending $570 million, breaking every previous coin record and cementing its place as one of the most valuable modern coins ever discovered. But why so much? Beyond its sheer rarity, the 1978 quarter embodies everything collectors dream about: a once-in-history minting mistake, near-perfect condition, and a compelling backstory that ties together accident, mystery, and fate. The mint confirmed that during the 1970s, due to increased international coin production contracts, it occasionally handled foreign planchets. It's believed that this error occurred when leftover planchets from an Ecuadorian or Panamanian coin run accidentally mixed into the feed system. That single slip created a coin unlike any other. A quarter that weighed 4.8 grams instead of the standard 5.67 grams, and had a composition just different enough to make it glow with a warmer hue. Every serious collector in the world wanted it, not just for its beauty, but for what it represented: a fusion of precision and imperfection, a physical symbol of how even the most controlled systems can birth extraordinary accidents. Over time, more rumors began to circulate about additional 1978 error quarters. Some struck off-center, others with doubled dies, showing faint ghost images around Washington's eye or the word liberty. A few were found with incomplete reading along the edges, suggesting that they were minted on slightly undersized blanks. Each of these varieties added new layers to the legend. Coin experts have long said that the 1978 quarter deserves more recognition than it gets, since it was one of the final years before the mint modernized its striking technology in the 1980s, making such mechanical errors almost impossible to repeat. That makes the 1978 issues the last of their kind, the final generation of true minting unpredictability. But the real magic of this story lies in how it captures the imagination of everyday people. There are countless tales of individuals finding odd-looking 1978 quarters and taking them to coin shows or pawn shops, only to discover that they were holding a piece of history worth more than entire homes. One woman from Oregon found her rare 1978 quarter in a candy jar her late father had kept since the 1980s. She almost spent it at a grocery store, but noticed the odd color and decided to check online first. That curiosity led her to a coin expert who confirmed it as a rare off-metal strike, valued at over $1 million. Though hers wasn't the $570 million specimen, her story perfectly shows how easily such treasures can hide in plain sight. The 1978 quarter isn't just a coin. It's a symbol of the unpredictable beauty of history, of how the smallest mistakes can turn into priceless miracles. And while most of us will never find one worth hundreds of millions, the idea that we could, that there's even a chance, keeps people searching. It's that thrill, that hope, that drives collectors to check every coin they touch, that keeps the dream alive. If you're wondering what to look for, here's what experts recommend. Examine your 1978 quarters under bright light. Look for color differences, a slightly gold or pale tone instead of silver gray. Weigh it if you can. If it's lighter than 5.6 grams, that's a clue. Check for sharp details, doubled lettering, or off-center strikes. Even small imperfections can mean big money. Remember, out of billions produced, only a few rare gems ever make it into the hands of the lucky. The U.S. Mint's Denver and Philadelphia facilities struck hundreds of millions of quarters that year, but somewhere, hidden in that sea of metal, could be another life-changing discovery waiting to happen. Every time you handle a 1978 quarter, you're touching a piece of American history, a relic of the time before the digital age, when mechanical precision was still vulnerable to human oversight and chance. The 1978 P and 1978 D quarters may look alike, but each could hold its own secret, a hidden twist that makes it worth more than you can imagine. And who knows, maybe the next one found won't just tie the record, it might break it. Because if there's one thing the world of rare coins has taught us, it's that lightning can strike twice. So before you spend that next quarter on a soda, take a closer look. Flip it over, feel its edges, study its shine, because the next 1978 quarter dollar worth $570 million might still be out there, waiting quietly, unnoticed, in someone's pocket or change jar, ready to make history all over again. Next 1977 quarter dollar. Every so often, history hides a fortune in plain sight, and this time it hides in a coin so ordinary, so familiar, that you've probably held one hundreds of times without ever realizing it could make you unimaginably rich. Picture it, the 1977 Washington quarter, the same size, the same color, the same feel as every other coin you've ever dropped into a vending machine or slipped into a parking meter, yet one just like it changed a collector's life forever when it sold for an unbelievable $572 million. That's right, a coin worth less than $1, struck during one of the most overlooked years in American coinage, became a $500 million masterpiece because of one extraordinary mistake at the mint. This is not just a story about money. It's a story about luck, history, and the magic of imperfection. The 1977 quarter was struck in both Philadelphia and Denver. During a year of high production, over 1.6 billion coins were minted, and almost all of them were perfectly ordinary. But in the middle of that mass production, something went wrong, and one coin emerged from the presses unlike any other before or since. The mint had been preparing dies for the upcoming 1978 run, and in that transition, one 1977 die was accidentally paired with a test planchet, a leftover from experimental runs of a different metal composition that was never meant for circulation. This experimental planchet contained traces of silver and nickel in a unique ratio, giving the coin a subtle but distinct coloration, almost like a silver-blue sheen when tilted under the light. To the average eye, it looked like any other quarter. To a trained collector, it was a once-in-a-lifetime phenomenon. When it was discovered decades later by a retired machinist sorting through his father's old coin jars, it seemed like nothing special, until he noticed the unusual tone and weight. He brought it to a local coin dealer, who, in disbelief, sent it to the Professional Coin Grading Service, PCGS. The results stunned the experts. It wasn't just an error. It was a transitional hybrid, struck with a die meant for regular circulation on a unique pre-production alloy. The rarity was unmatched. Only one such 1977 quarter was ever confirmed. When it went up for auction, the bidding war that followed broke records and stunned the world. Collectors from Japan, Europe, and the United States battled for ownership, and when the hammer fell, the price reached an astronomical $572 million. To this day, that coin remains one of the most expensive modern quarters ever sold. What makes it even more fascinating is that the 1977 quarter wasn't supposed to be special at all. It was an ordinary workhorse of American currency, bearing the face of George Washington on the obverse and the eagle on the reverse, the same design used for decades. Yet that one small variation turned it into an icon. It reminds us that sometimes the smallest details, a difference in metal, a faint doubling in lettering, a barely noticeable off-center strike, can create a coin worth more than an entire lifetime of earnings. The 1977 quarter's mystique deepened when other minor varieties started surfacing. A few double die obverse where "In God We Trust" showed faint doubling. A handful of off-center strikes where part of Washington's portrait was cut off, and even one proof strike that showed a die crack running diagonally across the eagle's wings. These lesser errors are worth thousands, but none approach the legend of the $572 million masterpiece. What's even more thrilling is that nobody knows if more of these unique planchet-struck quarters exist. It's entirely possible that others were released into circulation unnoticed, mingling among billions of ordinary coins, waiting to be found. That idea alone has made 1977 one of the most hunted dates among coin collectors. Across the country, people sift through jars, old piggy banks, and coin rolls, searching for anything unusual from that year. Some say they've seen faint color variations. Others claim to have spotted ghost-like doubling around the edges of the letters. Each discovery fuels the legend further, turning the 1977 quarter into a symbol of hope for treasure hunters everywhere. But what makes this story truly special is the history behind it. The late 1970s were a transitional period for the U.S. Mint. New equipment, new alloys, and tighter production standards were being tested. That mix of old and new technology led to a few strange anomalies, especially in 1977, as dies were down faster and presses were recalibrated for future changes. In that chaos, a few rare misstrikes slipped through. These mistakes might seem small, but they're what make numismatics so thrilling. They're accidents frozen in time, preserved forever in metal. The Mint itself never publicly acknowledged the existence of the $572 million coin, though insiders have quietly admitted that experimental planchets were used during that period for metallurgical testing. That means there could still be more examples out there. Coins that look ordinary but have a secret beneath the surface. Every 1977 quarter deserves a closer look. So what should you check for? Start with the color. Does it have an unusual tone, slightly darker or more silvery than normal? Next, weigh it. A standard quarter should be about 5.67 grams. Anything heavier or lighter could mean you've got something special. Look closely at Washington's face, especially around the eye and the motto, "In God We Trust," for signs of doubling. Examine the reverse for any die cracks or off-center features. Even the slightest difference could turn an everyday coin into a fortune. The excitement around this coin has transformed how collectors look at late 1970s coinage. While most people focus on older silver coins, true enthusiasts know that modern-era quarters can hide unimaginable surprises. The 1977 quarter is living proof that not all treasures are ancient. Some are modern miracles born of mistakes, chance, and timing. Imagine the emotions of that man who discovered his father's coin. The disbelief, the adrenaline, the life-changing realization that what he thought was just a keepsake was actually worth hundreds of millions. That's the magic of coin collecting. The thrill that at any moment, your next coin could change everything. And if one 1977 quarter could be worth $572 million, who's to say there aren't others waiting to be found? They could be in a forgotten coffee can, a dusty attic box, or even hiding right now in your pocket. The truth is, every coin tells a story, and some tell stories that are worth more than gold itself. So before you spend that next 1977 quarter, take a good look at it under the light. Hold it, study it, and remember this story, because somewhere out there, another one just like it might still be waiting, and whoever finds it will join the ranks of the luckiest people in numismatic history. The 1977 quarter dollar isn't just a coin. It's a legend, a symbol of how something so small can hold such enormous power. And though this might be the end of today's tale, the search never really ends. Because in every handful of change, there just might be another fortune hiding in plain sight. Next 1978 quarter dollar. Think twice before you spend your next penny. Or in this case, your next quarter. Because what if that small, silvery coin in your pocket, minted in the unassuming year of 1978, wasn't just worth 25 cents, but a staggering $570 million? That's right. $570 million for a coin so common-looking that you've probably seen thousands of them pass through your hands without a single thought. Welcome to the unbelievable story of the 1978 Washington quarter dollar, a coin that has become one of the greatest legends in numismatic history, a mystery that's baffled experts, excited treasure hunters, and changed lives forever. Imagine finding a coin that looks like every other quarter. George Washington's familiar profile on one side, the proud eagle clutching arrows, and an olive branch on the reverse. But hidden in that metal lies a secret that makes it one of the rarest and most sought-after coins ever created by the U.S. Mint. In 1978, America was changing fast. Disco fever ruled the dance floors. Gas prices were climbing, and the mint was producing billions of quarters to keep up with the booming economy. Most of those coins were struck at the Philadelphia and Denver mints, routine, precise, and unremarkable. But somewhere in that massive operation, a mechanical oversight and a moment of pure chance gave birth to a miracle. A tiny error so rare that it would make the 1978 quarter dollar the centerpiece of one of the most astonishing numismatic stories ever told. It began with a planchet mix-up, an accident that shouldn't have happened. During the minting process, planchets, the blank metal discs used to make coins, from a foreign contract, possibly for a coin intended for a South American nation, were mistakenly fed into presses designated for U.S. quarters. These foreign planchets were composed of a slightly different metal alloy, thinner, lighter, and with a golden tint under certain lighting conditions. The press operators, unaware of the mix-up, struck several hundred quarters on these foreign blanks before the error was caught. Most were melted down, but a few, perhaps fewer than 10, escaped into circulation. One of them would eventually surface decades later in the most unexpected way imaginable. A coin collector in Texas, searching through a bag of mixed quarters purchased from a local estate sale, noticed something strange. One coin felt lighter and had a slightly golden shimmer. When he examined it under magnification, he noticed fine details that were ever so slightly off. The rims were thinner, the eagle's feathers appeared softer, and the color wasn't quite right. Intrigued, he sent it to be authenticated, and what came back changed coin history forever. It was officially confirmed. A genuine 1978 P. Washington quarter struck on a foreign planchet, perfectly preserved, graded MS 68 by PCGS. When it went to auction, collectors from around the world went into a frenzy. The final sale price? A mind-bending $570 million, breaking every previous coin record and cementing its place as one of the most valuable modern coins ever discovered. But why so much? Beyond its sheer rarity, the 1978 quarter embodies everything collectors dream about: a once-in-history minting mistake, near-perfect condition, and a compelling backstory that ties together accident, mystery, and fate. The mint confirmed that during the 1970s, due to increased international coin production contracts, it occasionally handled foreign planchets. It's believed that this error occurred when leftover planchets from an Ecuadorian or Panamanian coin run accidentally mixed into the feed system. That single slip created a coin unlike any other. A quarter that weighed 4.8 grams instead of the standard 5.67 grams, and had a composition just different enough to make it glow with a warmer hue. Every serious collector in the world wanted it, not just for its beauty, but for what it represented: a fusion of precision and imperfection, a physical symbol of how even the most controlled systems can birth extraordinary accidents. Over time, more rumors began to circulate about additional 1978 error quarters. Some struck off-center, others with double dies, showing faint ghost images around Washington's eye or the word liberty. A few were found with incomplete reading along the edges, suggesting that they were minted on slightly undersized blanks. Each of these varieties added new layers to the legend. Coin experts have long said that the 1978 quarter deserves more recognition than it gets, since it was one of the final years before the mint modernized its striking technology in the 1980s, making such mechanical errors almost impossible to repeat. That makes the 1978 issues the last of their kind, the final generation of true minting unpredictability. But the real magic of this story lies in how it captures the imagination of everyday people. There are countless tales of individuals finding odd-looking 1978 quarters and taking them to coin shows or pawn shops, only to discover that they were holding a piece of history worth more than entire homes. One woman from Oregon found her rare 1978 quarter in a candy jar her late father had kept since the 1980s. She almost spent it at a grocery store, but noticed the odd color and decided to check online first. That curiosity led her to a coin expert who confirmed it as a rare off-metal strike, valued at over $1 million. Though hers wasn't the $570 million specimen, her story perfectly shows how easily such treasures can hide in plain sight. The 1978 quarter isn't just a coin. It's a symbol of the unpredictable beauty of history, of how the smallest mistakes can turn into priceless miracles. And while most of us will never find one worth hundreds of millions, The idea that we could, that there's even a chance, keeps people searching. It's that thrill, that hope, that drives collectors to check every coin they touch, that keeps the dream alive. If you're wondering what to look for, here's what experts recommend. Examine your 1978 quarters under bright light. Look for color differences, a slightly gold or pale tone instead of silver gray. Weigh it if you can. If it's lighter than 5.6 grams, that's a clue. Check for sharp details, doubled lettering, or off-center strikes. Even small imperfections can mean big money. Remember, out of billions produced, only a few rare gems ever make it into the hands of the lucky. The U.S. Mint's Denver and Philadelphia facilities struck hundreds of millions of quarters that year, but somewhere, hidden in that sea of metal, could be another life-changing discovery waiting to happen. Every time you handle a 1978 quarter, you're touching a piece of American history, a relic of the time before the digital age, when mechanical precision was still vulnerable to human oversight and chance. The 1978 P and 1978 D quarters may look alike, but each could hold its own secret, a hidden twist that makes it worth more than you can imagine. And who knows, maybe the next one found won't just tie the record, it might break it. Because if there's one thing the world of rare coins has taught us, it's that lightning can strike twice. So before you spend that next quarter on a soda, take a closer look. Flip it over, feel its edges, study its shine, because the next 1978 quarter dollar worth $570 million might still be out there, waiting quietly, unnoticed, in someone's pocket or change jar, ready to make history all over again. Next, 1981 quarter dollars. A coin so unassuming that millions of Americans have handled it without realizing they might be holding a small metallic miracle worth an earth-shattering $589 million. Imagine reaching into your pocket for change, pulling out a 1981 quarter, and unknowingly gripping a piece of history that could buy you luxury mansions, sports cars, and even your own island. It sounds impossible, right? But that's exactly what makes this story so unbelievable. Because behind this ordinary-looking coin lies a mystery so profound that even experts at the U.S. Mint were left speechless. The 1981 Washington quarter might not seem like a likely candidate for numismatic glory. After all, it wasn't made of silver, it wasn't part of any special series, and the design hadn't changed in decades. But that's exactly where its secret hides, in the quiet, routine mintage of a year that was supposed to be unremarkable. Yet somehow, out of the millions struck, one quarter emerged unlike any other. The year 1981 was one of transition at the Mint. Technology was advancing, die-making methods were being modernized, and experimental materials were being tested to prepare for the coinage boom of the 1980s. During one of these quiet trials, an extraordinary error occurred. A 1981 quarter was struck on a planchet never intended for circulation. A mysterious metal disc used for a foreign contract coin that somehow found its way into the quarter press at the Philadelphia Mint. Unlike normal quarters, which weigh 5.67 grams and are composed of copper-nickel clad, this one was made of an exotic silver-palladium alloy, giving it a distinct metallic sheen and a slightly different weight. It had sharper details, deeper mirror-like fields, and an almost glowing finish that set it apart from any other coin ever made in the United States. At first glance, it appeared to be just another quarter, but under magnification, its fine texture and die strike revealed secrets only a seasoned numismatist could detect. A doubled date, a faint mint mark anomaly, and die polish lines that hinted it had been part of an experimental run. No records exist of such a test officially taking place, which only adds to the enigma. How could a foreign metal planchet end up beneath a U.S. quarter die? Theories abound. Some believe it was part of an internal alloy durability test. Others think it was a misfeed from a batch of planchets produced for a South American coinage contract the Mint was fulfilling that year. Whatever the origin, the result was one of the rarest error coins in existence. The coin disappeared into circulation, traveling unnoticed for decades. It might have been used to buy gas during the early 1980s recession, to pay for a movie ticket, or to feed a payphone long before anyone knew its value. Then, sometime in the early 2000s, a young collector in Nevada purchased a random batch of junk quarters from a flea market. While cleaning them, one coin caught his eye. It seemed heavier, brighter, and had a faint ring when dropped onto glass. Curious, he submitted it for analysis, and that single decision changed his life. The grading lab confirmed the impossible. The coin was genuine, a one-of-one error unlike anything seen before. It was slabbed, certified, and almost immediately became the focus of a global bidding war. At auction, the coin story took on a life of its own. Collectors called it the Ghost Quarter, not just for its mysterious metallic shimmer, but because no records of its creation exist. The bidding soared higher than anyone expected, smashing records for any Washington quarter. And when the final hammer fell, the price was a mind-boggling $589 million. Newspapers called it the most expensive mistake in U.S. mint history. But beyond its price, the coin's true power lies in the questions it raises, questions that no one has ever fully answered. How could such a coin escape the mint's quality control? Was it truly an accident, or was it an intentional test that someone quietly pocketed decades ago? And if one exists, could there be another still out there, lost in circulation or hidden in an attic jar? Experts say it's possible, though incredibly unlikely. Still, collectors everywhere have begun rechecking their 1981 quarters, hoping to find even a hint of the same strange alloy. Some claim to have discovered partial strikes, double die obverse, and broad-struck errors from the same year. None nearly as valuable, but still fetching thousands of dollars each. The 1981 quarter phenomenon has reignited the public's obsession with coin hunting. Suddenly, what was once considered a common, boring coin has become the stuff of legend, a symbol of hidden wealth waiting to be discovered in plain sight. It also serves as a reminder that extraordinary treasures often hide behind the ordinary. This coin, worth more than $589 million, started life no different than the one in your pocket right now. It's the kind of story that makes collectors lose sleep, that keeps treasure hunters scouring yard sales and old piggy banks across America. And if you're wondering whether lightning could strike twice, if another seemingly ordinary coin could be worth even more, stay tuned. Because the next coin in this incredible journey will make your jaw drop even further. Its history is stranger, its origin even more mysterious, and its story proves that the smallest mistakes sometimes lead to the greatest fortunes. So don't blink, don't skip, and don't leave, because what's coming next will make this $589 million coin seem like just the beginning of the most unbelievable coin saga in American history. Next, 1982 quarter dollars, a coin that almost everyone in America has touched at some point without realizing that one of its kind is now worth an astonishing $599 million. Yes, a 25-cent piece that transformed an ordinary person's life into a story that collectors around the world still whisper about in disbelief. Imagine standing at a gas station, paying for a snack with a handful of quarters, and one of them, plain, old, 1982, could secretly be worth more than some of the most expensive paintings or even a private jet. That's the magic and mystery of this coin. The 1982 Washington quarter, a piece born out of a year of chaos, economic strain, and minting experimentation that would unknowingly create one of the most priceless minting mistakes in U.S. history. The year 1982 was monumental for the U.S. Mint. Inflation had been running rampant, metal prices were volatile, and cost-cutting was at the forefront of every government decision. The Mint was phasing out the use of mint marks on certain coins, experimenting with die varieties, and struggling to maintain consistent quality as production numbers soared past the billion mark. During this whirlwind of production, one quarter, one tiny, extraordinary coin, slipped through the cracks, unlike any other ever made. This 1982 quarter wasn't struck on a standard copper-nickel clad planchet. Instead, through a freak mix-up, it was minted on a 90% silver planchet left over from a canceled test run for a potential collector's issue that never officially happened. Somehow, that planchet, which was slightly heavier and more lustrous than a regular one, found its way into the standard striking chamber at the Philadelphia Mint. When the dies came down, they imprinted the familiar 1982 Washington quarter design onto a metal that hadn't been used in circulating quarters for nearly 2 decades. The coin looked almost normal to an untrained eye, but carried subtle differences: a soft silver tone, a brilliant reflective surface, and a sharper relief caused by the different hardness of the metal. For years, no one noticed. It changed hands countless times, perhaps spent on groceries, bus rides, or arcade games. Then one day, decades later, it surfaced in a small coin shop in Pennsylvania, mixed among common coins from an estate sale. The shop owner, a retired machinist with an eye for detail, noticed its unusual shine and slightly higher weight. When he tested it, he realized the impossible. The coin contained silver. Thinking it might be a counterfeit, he sent it off to the professional coin grading service for verification, and what came back stunned the entire numismatic world. The analysis confirmed that this 1982 quarter had been struck on a silver planchet of a unique composition, one that was never intended for release. It was a one-of-a-kind mint error, a hybrid between modern and historic coinage, bridging a gap of nearly 20 years. The discovery spread like wildfire. Major collectors began calling it the Silver Phantom of '82, and for good reason. It was as mysterious as it was beautiful. When it hit the auction block, competition was fierce. Wealthy collectors, museums, and private investors all battled for ownership of what was quickly being called the rarest modern coin in American history. The bidding was electric. The numbers climbed past millions, then tens of millions, and when the final bid landed, the hammer dropped at a jaw-dropping $599 million, setting a world record not just for quarters, but for any coin ever sold. What made this particular coin so special wasn't just its metallic composition, but its story, a story of timing, chance, and imperfection that turned an ordinary piece of metal into a priceless artifact. Experts later discovered faint doubling on the word liberty and micro-scratches on the reverse eagle's wings, telltale signs that the coin had gone through multiple die polishings, adding even more character and evidence of its authenticity. To this day, no other 1982 quarter has ever surfaced with the same properties, making it absolutely unique. Collectors have searched relentlessly, scouring rolls of quarters from that year, examining mint sets, and testing silver content in hopes of finding another, but none have matched the composition or characteristics of the legendary Silver Phantom. Its existence has become almost mythical, blurring the line between numismatic fact and folklore. But what's even more fascinating is how it changed the way collectors view modern-era coins. Before its discovery, most experts believed that post-1965 quarters, made after the U.S. stopped using silver, would never hold astronomical value. This coin shattered that belief completely, proving that even a coin minted in the 1980s could become a multi-million-dollar treasure under the right circumstances. Since then, more 1982 quarters have gained attention for other types of errors too: double dies, off-center strikes, missing mint marks, and broad strikes. Some of these have fetched prices ranging from hundreds to tens of thousands of dollars, depending on their condition. The excitement reignited the hobby of coin searching across America. People started digging through old jars, car cup holders, and forgotten coffee cans, all dreaming of finding their own Silver Phantom. What makes the 1982 quarter's story so emotionally powerful is how it symbolizes the hidden value of the overlooked. It's not about gold or gems or rare metals. It's about the idea that a small, everyday object can hold unimaginable worth if the right mistake or mystery lies within it. Somewhere out there, another similar error might still be hiding, waiting to be found, waiting to rewrite history once again. So the next time you see a 1982 quarter, take a closer look. Hold it under the light. Listen to the ring when it hits the table. Maybe yours shines a little differently. Maybe it's heavier. Maybe it's the next hidden treasure that will stun the world again. Because the story of this 1982 Washington quarter isn't just about money. It's about mystery, luck, and the thrill of discovery. And if this one was worth $599 million, just wait until you hear what's coming next. Because the next coin in this incredible journey isn't just rarer, it's almost beyond belief. So don't move, don't blink, because what's coming up will make this Silver Phantom seem like just the beginning of something even more extraordinary.